So you guys had 140 days, 181 reps representing 27 million Texans, right? You guys passed a budget of $209.4 billion. The real simple question I'd like to pose to both of you to open it up is, is Brownsville as a community better off after the session than we were before?
It wasn't as eventful as the session before, but we're probably only going to have a session like that every 20 years. Where
we continue to have or gain investment in specific projects. SpaceX last session, we have another project, I don't know how much of it is public information, but another major investment by the governor's office.
I think it's only appropriate in looking back at the session as to the bills that were passed and that were not passed. But of course, from the standpoint of the city, there is some concern with regards to one of the pieces of legislation that has to do with annexation.
Well, let's jump right into it. One of the big topics that we heard from everybody was obviously education, and it was HB 731 for Representative Lucio, and that was relating to a pilot program under the Foundation School Program for funding a pre-K program. You want to share a little bit more about how that kind of came out?
A program that we modeled our legislation after.
Right.
That essentially, like I said, captures the savings that we achieve as a school district when we graduate students early.
HB 1712, related to the establishment of an innovation workforce training center in the Rio Grande Valley. That actually failed, but it was kind of a new concept. It was I believe that's the one with Texas Southwest College, correct?
at that meeting we had in the late fall, I did mention that it was going to be difficult.
One economic development related, HB 4059, and that's relating to limitations on annexation by ETJs of certain municipalities. That one also passed. Do you want to give us a quick run through on just a little bit of the background on it?
It's a respectful disagreement, between me and some folks in Brownsville about it. But
I think there's more to it than meets the eye, and with all due respect, I totally disagree with the assessment as to why this bill was passed.
One thing that was interesting, which got a lot of attention at the beginning, was border security, right? Place.
That was an emergency item by the governor. That train was on the tracks moving to Texas.
So it was either get engaged or get run over by the train.
That's right. So
we may be doing economic development things that are not going to be always on Brownsville land. So if that's going to cost me a few votes, then that's fine.
But the interesting...
So it's always been a state power that was granted to cities.
The thing about that, having been a former city guy, there's always a push and pull between cities and state, and we always gladly remind...
As there is between the state and the feds.
And we always gladly remind that, hey, our citizens also elect you to represent us up there, so that's...
that's huge. That's hundreds of millions of dollars in health care services,
right,
for Texas, and especially for a utilizer of Medicaid dollars like we have in our region.
I passed 55 bills, which is the most I've ever passed. Not the most of file, but the most I've ever passed, and it just hit.
One other thing that was really, really important and didn't get any attention, windstorm. Okay, good, Fred. You get credit.
We don't have the answers to everything, so we depend on people like you, the leaders in our community, to give us the input necessary for us to make a decision.